For the last year or so, there's been this nationwide fear about what's going to happen with the Supreme Court. Many ideas going around about expanding the court, about giving them term limits, that kind of thing. So what we're going to take a look in this video is specifically at the 34 bipartisan panel that recently came to an agreement and wrote up what they are suggesting could be done with the Supreme Court. Now let's start with what there were strong disagreements, very, very strong disagreements about expanding the Supreme Court at all. It could not have been signed off on, this report could not have been signed off on if that was going to be a recommendation, because of just the strong differences there were when it came to that. And that also shows me that even if the Congress was to go forward and say, hey, let's try to expand the Supreme Court, I really don't think they're going to get the support they need, and it's just going to be really an impossible task, almost literally impossible task. Now, with that being said, some of the other recommendations were, as far as what they had kind of an agreement on, was there was bipartisan support on term limits. And what those term limits look like could actually, in turn, give each sitting president a pick of 2 Supreme Court justices every time there's a new president. So ultimately what they're suggesting is that when there be term limits set, that 2 justices, the 2 oldest justices, would then go out, and then whoever the sitting president is at that time would then replace those 2 justices. And then when there's a next term, 2 more justices go out, and that president, maybe the same one, maybe a different one, then that president will give 2 more Supreme Court justices. So what they're, I guess, looking at is somewhere it lands in 4s, where it kind of lands in within every president's jurisdiction to give 2, to appoint 2. That got strong bipartisan support. Now, a lot of also what was written within was kind of the history of the change, and you kind of have to stay within the history of the change, was really what that argument about expanding the court, because oftentimes there's been attempts to expand the Supreme Court, and oftentimes they've successfully expanded the Supreme Court. But it always, through history, has shown that the problems that has caused, specifically with one party trying to gain power over another one in the realm of the federal court. So that's really, and kind of, I think that's why there's such a fear of that, is because, otherwise any sitting president can just say, well, I'll just throw a couple Supreme Court justices in there and get whatever I want. And obviously that's not what the Supreme Court was made to do. Supreme Court was to be essentially the final say when it comes to the court system as the law of the land, and not the president. So that was really the biggest piece of it. I don't predict there's going to be any significant change on this particular term for this particular president, based on what I saw in these recommendations. If any, there may be a kind of a ball rolling towards term limits, but whether it's something will actually come to fruition in the next 2 or 3 years, I seriously doubt it. So love to hear your thoughts on all this. Will the Supreme Court be expanded? I definitely would say a solid no, is what I guess anything's possible, but this feels very, very impossible. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. Love to hear your thoughts on it. Put in the comments below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. Feel called to support this channel to Patreon. That link is also below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests, so never hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.